Welcome to SAPinsight tip, manipulating tables in transactions. In this tip, I'm going to show you how to take a transaction that has a table embedded in the transaction and manipulate that table so that it's more productive for you. So let's go ahead and get into SAP, and I'll show you what this tip is all about. I'm going to go to the purchase order transaction because it has a table embedded in it. It's the ME22N transaction that I'm going to use. And just be aware that you can use any transaction that has a table embedded in it. So I'm in the ME22N transaction, and you don't see the table displayed. And the reason for that is because the item overview section of the purchase order transaction is where that table is embedded, and it is currently collapsed. So I'm going to click on the expand button next to the item overview section, and we see that table expanded. Now currently you see a set of columns displayed and a set of rows displayed in this table, but you'll notice that down here under the table we've got a scroll bar, and that scroll bar allows you to see additional columns that aren't displayed in the transaction table, just simply because there's not enough room on the transaction to do that. So if you are working in this transaction quite frequently and you have, say, columns that are displayed on the far right-hand side, such as plant, and you have to scroll over to see that column, you can take that column and move it over into the display window so that it's more productive for you, and then you can save those settings. So I'm going to take this plant column and I'll roll my mouse over the plant column, turns to a plus sign, and I'm going to click and drag that column over. So I'll drag it far over to the left, and it'll scroll to the left, and I'm going to put it between the material field and the short text field. So I'll just point my cursor between those and release the mouse button, and it'll drop that plant column over there. I also want to do some resizing of some columns as well. So I'll take the short text, I'll roll my mouse between the short text and the PO quantity field, and my cursor turns to a different type of cross with arrows, and I'll just click and drag like you do in any type of application that has this capability. So I'm just doing some little resizing here to make my current table a little more productive for how I deal with it on a regular basis. Now, once I get all of my columns lined up exactly like I want, resized exactly like I want to save the setting so that when I come into this transaction, I have that setting available to me and I don't have to redo that setting. So up in the far right-hand corner, top right-hand corner of the table is a button called the configuration button. I'll click on that button. I'll get a pop-up window, and it's the table settings pop-up window. And it has current settings and standard settings set to basic setting. I'll go down into the variant field, so I'm going to create this as a variant, and I'll just call it, say, Ginger's PO setting. And there is a character limit, so just be aware of that character limitation in that field. You might want to abbreviate. And after I enter my variant name, I'm going to use it as a standard setting, and I'm going to click on the Create button. After I click on the Create button, I'm going to click on the Save button. And now when I exit out of the transaction and come back into the transaction, let me do that. You'll notice my plant column is now displayed next to the material field as I had put it in that variant. So I'll click on the variant button again, and you'll see that the current setting is Ginger's PO setting, and the standard setting is also that as well. And you can always go into this variant button and change your current setting. So you might have several different layouts that you want for this table depending on the data that you're working with, and you set the primary layout to the default, which is the current setting, and then when you go into the other data layouts, you just come into the transaction and change it for that particular execution of the transaction. I'll exit out of this pop-up box, and that is the SAPinsight tip, manipulating tables in transactions. Hope you find some value in this, and have a great day.